Well, there is no really, people generally look for epiphany, but I don't really. I go with the flow, but I've always known that I have a very strong artistic temperament, whether it was painting or singing or dancing, uh, or even cooking and anything that is beautiful. As a child, as long as I can remember, I remember being very interested, and I just go into it. So never for formal classes in music or dance or whatever. So, but my parents' friends always remember me as the one who'd sing at the drop of a hat, or who the one who dances at the drop of a hat. So I was artistically inclined, but later, Mindy, when I was at school, I was at first in primary Malay school, then went to remove class, and then to English school, and then later on to the Royal Military College. But I never had a formal classes in any of this arts field. And then when I went to the Royal Military College from the Cochrane Road School, which is known as a gangster school, I kind of, my artistic part was suppressed even further. It was only when I was in Australia for my matriculation, I won a scholarship from Mara to do matriculation and then to do engineering, that I immediately started on formal classes in jazz, classical ballet, and I was exposed to Malay dances before, and I did it in a natural kind of way. It was easy for me to do zapping, joget, and asli and all that kind of thing, and I used to improvise. So I had my own group at the university. So that was a period where I kind of thought that if I have a formal class, I'll be so much better. I saw ballet and said that, I mean, I can do that. And so immediately when I was in Australia, I went for a jazz class, a ballet class, and it was almost meteoric, my rise. So I worked with the WA Ballet Company, as well as doing my degree in mechanical engineering, and the rest, I think I managed to get into the Australian Ballet on after my degree, and I really needed to concentrate on my training, and it was a very good thing. um, in Melbourne at the Australian Ballet, I was exposed to wonderful, great dancers like the great Dame Margot Fontaine, Nureyev, Carla Fracci. I saw them. I saw their dedication. I saw their art. And from the ballet school, I was discovered by Graham Murphy, who was just going to open his new uh, ballet company called the Sydney Dance Company. And he wanted to do a full-length work on Jean Cocteau. He saw me as Nijinsky. Nijinsky was a little bit kind of a Asian, from central Russia. So I was cast as Nijinsky, but at the same time, I had a very good friend by the name of Zamin Haroon, or more famously known as Chandrabanu, who did Indian classical dance. So these are all the jigsaw puzzle that made me, as what you asked me, to be what I am, a very, very much a comprehensivist who look at different parts, related parts. So eventually what you see me is someone is very modern, but at the same time respectful and fascinated by the collective as represented by classical, or represented by tradition, even the Mat and all those kind of things. I love them, but at the same time I'm a very modern person. Yes, because I felt that this part of me is very Asian. uh, Part of me. That's why at this later stage of my life, I really feel that I no longer pay homage to New York. having also stayed that, and we have performed in Carnegie Hall, we have performed at the Asia Society or the Kennedy Center and all that. But I really feel that I'm more interested in Asia. And so this is a psychic kind of yeah, feeling that I am psychically involved with Asian things. You know, I'm more connected and attracted to Indian and even Indonesian. I've always said that I should have been born either an Indonesian, a Javanese, or a Balinese, or in India. You know, so I'm fascinated by that. No, because this is a very a gradual thing, because I was interested in philosophy, I was interested in comparative religion, I was interested in music, both the contemporary music. For a long time, I was more interested in very avant-garde music, you know, from Schoenberg, you know, from Stravinsky to rather than the classical of Mozart, and you know, of course, now I love it. I love all good music. I love all good dance. But I think, you know, in terms of looking at the Vedanta and the philosophy of the Indian, the depth of the Indian philosophy, and even with Sufism, you know, I was interested in the concept of pantheistic thing of looking things, like the universal spirit is within us also. We are not separated. The creator and the created is not separated. And this is this can be a bane in the more a kind of Semitic religion, which includes Islam or Christianity or Hebrew, because you know the creator and created are not the same or are not related at all. You know, thou shall not. You know, whereas in the more Asian philosophy, you are you are part of the universe. You hurt yourself, you hurt the universe. You know, that kind of thing. I find that that seeps into a lot of the work that I thought the wisdom of Asia is very deep in the total sense. Yes, I would qualify that because you know, I don't want to say it's my own. It's something that comes naturally. Even the Odissi eventually, because we are, you know, in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia has the parampara of the Guru Deba Prasad Das, which is what they call a bani or a school that 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 has the characteristic of a particular mind that have conceived of it. And the Deba Prasad does again have a philosophy of Tridhara, or where he sees that the classical has also to have the folk and tribal to feed on. You know, so there is an organic evolution of the classical. So the classical, and you know, sometimes the postmodern that we have is terribly intellectual and terribly kind of artificially created, and this divorced itself from the very energy and the fresh kind of earthiness that I find that the classical must also still have, not just something that is overtly intellectual. You know, I mentioned that presently I'm looking after my sister who had just went through a very big operation, her hip replacement, and we spoke about our aunties, our mothers, and all that, how our bringing up was far more close, very intimate, and we play games. You know, I have a very eccentric auntie who smoked incessantly, because we talk about people who are. But then, you know, say you know, that auntie Mate was smoke, but she went up to 90 years old. So how did she survive for so long? You know, I mean, I know this kind of thing. But we did kind of have a much more engaged relationship with the people around us, more so than now, especially with a digitalized kind of generation, the Generation Z and all that, who's only interested in the gadget. But RMC, there are good things and there are not so good things as far as I'm concerned as an artist, because I was artistically, I was suppressed. I was exposed into another kind of discipline, but fortunately, I was there only for a short time because I was good in my studies, and so I was able to get my quickly get. I had an ESO scholarship. I had a Mara scholarship to do my matriculation. So I entered RMC in '69. That was the period of the Malaysian kind of uh, the May 13th thing. I remembered the truck coming in and out of the Royal Military College. So I was that product, and I was not aware really of what exactly is happening. And then I was projected to Perth, to Australia. But I think the slightly less polarized childhood was always there. You know, I was exposed to, you know, at that time there was a lot of Indian dance on television, for example. And you know, we look at Bharatanatyam on television. We walk around streets and we can hear the tintinnabulation of bells because someone is teaching. You know, but or you know, you can see Mat Yog in Maha or places where they have all this kind of pesta, you know. Oh, I still remembered Mandi Safa in Malacca, for example. All that was still happening. I remembered Chinese opera everywhere. And I remembered Bukit Bintang, BBB Park. So those had influenced me. I was fascinated by the theatricality of these forms, and I think they kind of imbued in me a certain sense of fascination and richness in how I approach culture and arts. And I think they strongly mold me to be a very kind of a person who feel that these are the qualities, these are human qualities that we need to have. The richer, the better. I always felt that the Malay women are so beautiful and so ayu and so, but I said, where are they now? I mean, where's the kabaya? My mother used to wear this kabaya all the time, and later on she got bunkosed up, and I was kind of a little bit disappointed with that. But when she kinds of think that my sister had to do that, and I'm the ready to say that. But you know, I saw you wearing all those kabayas. Why can't my sisters wear kabayas? Because they look wonderful on them. You know, I mean, I remember my sisters wearing mini skirts and all that. I think there was at that time people are not quick to close up, and the Arabization of the Malay culture was not there, and this is a good thing. Budi Bahasa and all that, which I love about the Malays. They have a certain softness about them, and this is a quality that I think the Budi Bahasa itu adalah it's one of those things that really define who the Malays are, and this is, I love this quality. My father used to dance Zapin at the Sulaiman Club. You know, we used to have this kind of soiree, and I love it when I go to Indonesia that they still have it, and I think these are the, you know, I think the joy of life has got to still be maintained, and that is manifested in how we celebrate our culture. You understand that everything is interrelated. nothing is on its own. The influence of ikat, the influence of batik, and the influence of Baba and Nyonya culture, and the influence of the Gujarati coming over, and all that kind of thing. It's and the Chinese Indian influence get somehow integrated in the Peninsular Malaysia and in the Malay archipelago. This is the thing. I don't define it. I follow what I think someone said. I follow my bliss. I will just do anything that I feel is right at the moment, and I follow it. I'm always kind of follow that path. It's like someone is showing me, you go this, you go that. And I'm also led by my conscience. I really feel that at this later age of my life, I want to do things. I don't want to justify every move that I do, Mindy, because time is short. I mean, you keep on fighting all the time, and I think we wasted a lot of energy fighting instead of doing it. I mean, politically, the toxic politics that we are having at the moment is forever negative. So the energy is gone into that negativity rather than on the positivity of creative, whatever. Not just arts is creative. Anything is creative. Cooking is creative. But everything is creative. So I think I mean, yes, there was, I didn't even realize that when I came that there is a wave of fundamentalism that comes. So I used to dance Shiva wearing a Shiva kind of a costume, where Shiva does not bother with costume. Shiva is known as the metaphor of God who is dressed in the elements. Yeah, so all this accoutrement is unnecessary for him, at that point. So we don't, I mean, I understood this and I love this. I like that minimalist idea also, though I like the beautification of the dancer, because the body is regarded as a metaphor of the temple, for example. The temple has got to be beautified to be ready for the highest principle within. So all this concept I find for an artist very fascinating, because I'm not a civil servant. I don't dress like a civil servant. I don't behave like one, and I don't want to be one. I'm an artist. I revel in my senses. I revel in looking at, I mean, I'm surrounded. My life is art. Art is my life. So I do that. So I don't want to talk all the time about the problems I've encountered with stupid people. Let them let them wallow in their stupidity. Let me live in a parallel society where, in that short lifespan, we celebrate what we believe in. Yes, yes. Now with the social media, you actually meet up people who are with you all the time, but at the same time, you are meeting up with people who are absolute. Where do you come from? My God, So you cannot, you just don't want to waste time having to deal with the flotsam and jetsam of life. My good friend Tajuddin Rushdie, who writes a wonderful articles all about, and I shared with him, let's have also a parallel society, because you don't think that everything is all right in America. You don't think everything right in Australia or Western. They're not. There are always bigoted people there also. So you find your own parallel society where you revel in the areas that you love. You celebrate things. Celebrate for me, please. Not means drinking until you're whatever it is. Because we are artists. We have a very strong discipline. If I don't sleep before 11 o'clock, the next day I'm a wreck. So I may, or artists may project that they lead a glamorous life, but within that, please understand that they live a very, very disciplined life also. I mean, to say that I don't have pressure or stress would be a lie, but I relatively handled I think pressure and stress well, because I don't take I take my art seriously, but I don't take stress that seriously, because after all, I think I go with the flow, and I really, it's wonderful to come back to the green of my garden, to my pets. By the way, my pets are all strays. I don't get them. They come to the house and they express their wish to be part of my household, and they are there, and I look after them, and they provide me the wonderful kind of counter of giving me the and lessening my stress, because they somehow do that. So I think I'm one of those person that handles stress very, very well. I don't feel stressed performing. On the other hand, when I'm performing, I'm not say that I feel that I want to intimidate my audience. Like, I want to confront my audience and say that this is what I want to say to you. So it's not, I mean, this is something that I teach my dancers also, to such an extent that sometimes they're fearless when they have a head of state or something like that. They take it as very naturally. So I'm not intimidated by what a great person is on the audience, and then you have to be very, very be careful and all that. It never comes to me. So I'm like, let's see. I mean, I'm not at all. Yeah. It's very interesting because I think I have a very strong presence and influence on my dancers. And now it's a process of my teach letting go and giving them responsibility. And if they're doing very well, saying that that's very good, I love it, and this, uh, uh, letting go is more or less now is I have to be aware, because I seem to find that I usually make the right decision, um, even in terms of as a dancer choreographer, but I think that as an artistic director that I am good. I know that that shouldn't be there. This color is best. I think you're too serious in your expression. I think this work needs an injection of the Dionysian element. It's too regular, too predictable. That kind of thing. I am very quick to arrive at that. I think I just spoke to my sister. I think you spend too much time in the room. I think you should go out a bit more. Do you want to go to a cafe with me? And she will say, no, I'm not ready yet. But spend more time outside. I mean, I know it when things are a little bit stayed, or the decision is not good, and yes, there is an intuitive, and I as an artist in Malaysia, where, Malaysian artists, I think they say that if you make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. I think if you make it in Malaysia, you can make it anywhere. It's not a very friendly place, but yes, you have to create that, and somehow, uh, if you go to Sutra Mindi or you go here, everything is looked after with love, and I try to instill that within the area. But I don't let any of my collaborators get away with something shoddy. Possibly that, but actually, I've always felt that to be an independent artist, you almost have to be a kind of a art terrorist in a positive sense, because you cannot afford to to slack. Yeah. You didn't believe this. Just before you, I was in my shorts trying to, send my car for service and make sure that things are a little bit kind of thing clear up and all those kind of things. So I'm quite, and in 10 minutes I can look the star that people expect me to be. That's very, very interesting because people always talk about succession to me, but to expect them to be like me completely would be very difficult because I think I have a very strong interest in many areas from architecture to literature to I read a lot and I don't spend time. I don't have a television. I've never had television. So I'm not a spectator in life. I do it. And my dances sometimes they have 2 or 3 other things besides dance, but they don't have the kind of override intellectual interest as I have. So I think this is the thing where I feel that I am much more kind of at a better advantage than most of them. But you know, I really have to get them interested in galleries and in photography and in paintings and all that thing. So to get the present young people to have this a kind of a taste for the higher areas is difficult. Like reading, for example, is something that you don't do. The depth of reading is not just Wikipedia or Google, but something a bit more substantial. They do, but you can't trust Chat GPT and all those kind of things. They're too generic for me. So people would send me, oh, okay, this is what we got from the Chat GPT, and I said, yeah, I'm impressed, but I'm not that impressed to think that this is a speech that you would make of me, because they're too generic. It's good for business kind of thing to have a kind of a horizontal thing, but the depth is not there for me. Basically, the best teacher is still nature, I think. I mean, nature and anything that is related to nature, in fact, like food, for example, can be inspiring. I mean, dance and breath and all those kind of things. We don't need such profoundly profound things to be inspired. This around us is inspiring. I think travel is very important also. I think you must travel when you're young and not when you are older and you are, before you get too old, before you can go to Angkor Wat and go to the Vatican or go to the great temples of India, from Ellora to Konark to Khajuraho and all this kind of thing. They are greatly inspiring, and I take my dancers there, and of course I can bring the horse to the water, but I cannot make it drink. I don't know, proudest moment. I don't have the proudest moment in my getting the Padma Shri or the Dato-ship was something, like I said, I take it with flow. I have many funny stories, for instance, when we perform at Carnegie Hall, which is the famed Carnegie Hall, actually my dressing room had Winston Churchill and Billie Holiday picture in it because they were in that room, right? So now I was with some other groups from India. Now to have Sutra from Malaysia to represent Odissi, and that the government or the people in charge allowed that is a major thing. That says a lot about India at one level. It's magnanimous enough to do that. So we were put in some hotel somewhere outside in New Jersey. We had just come back from a big tour of Tuscany and all this kind of thing, and we have to go to New York. And then, I mean, there's so many in our group to perform in Carnegie Hall. There's Odissi, Kathak, Kuchipudi, Bharatanatyam, and all that kind of thing. Each group has got its 8-9 people. So we got into our bus from New Jersey very early in the morning, like, make sure that you're there by 5 o'clock in the morning, so that when we reach there at 8 o'clock, we are ready to bump into Carnegie Hall and get everything ready, for the performance at night. So we did exactly that, but the Indians were, the Kathak ones will say that, why are we, can you come later, and when you are ready with the theater, you call us, all that can be, but we were very quiet. So as we were traveling in the bus, someone shouted, "Guys, look at the back." All our bags were strewn on the highway. Someone has not locked properly the baggage compartment. So the bus had to stop, and the dancers had to rush off to get their bags out. And I said, my God, this is the morning of a Carnegie Hall. And I'm the one that said that after this, nothing can be worse. And I think our performance in Carnegie Hall is going to be wonderful. And it turned out to be a wonderful performance. And so that was very, very funny for me. I mean, you put something into such a state, and it turned out that life has got other kind of to say that, I mean, don't think it's and by the way, we got there at 8 o'clock, but the Carnegie Hall was not open until 10, so we had to stay in the bus until it was open, and then we can get into to bump in, so to speak. Yeah, you cannot take anything too seriously, because there's I mean, I mean, I qualify myself because we have to be very careful that Malaysia is well set in the direction, and it doesn't become another Pakistan or another Sri Lanka at this stage. I mean, it can turn like that very, very easily. So we cannot take things. I'm very wary of that and quite aware of that. So, but I don't take too seriously something that you put into such a pedestal. People, for example, we cannot say that, oh my God, he's a saint, he was a wonderful, yes, at that time he's, you have great admiration, but you have to be careful that we are all human. Love, I did mention that it's one of the most overrated thing. I think love is important, but it's kind of overrated because we change. Our partner will go on a different direction, and 20, 30 years later, the love, the passion changes to something else or something. There is, but love eventually comes to be, it compromises into something less, more acceptable. But I think we all need a different kind of love, a love of respect, love that is a different kind of love of nature, environment. Those are the kind of things, I believe. But personal, intense love, which, when I hear music or the lyrics, I just get so I switch it off because it's so cliched. I have a lot of mentors in my life. Looking back, I realized how lucky I was to have people who kind of look up to and who showed me the genius of people in many areas, paintings or arts or literature or dance, and those are kind of things I value very, very much all the time. I think failure is a complementary thing to success. I think you cannot be on a high all the time. I think age, for example, is a kind of reflection of that negative thing of life. So how do you take age, for example, for a dancer? I have just had an operation in my ankle. It's never kind of there. I'm just hoping. It's only about 7 months ago. I'm just hoping that it's better. I cannot do a lot of things now because of this, and uh, it reminded me of a friend of mine who also faced that, and he said, "Ramli, age sucks," but I can appreciate that. I think that's true, but it is there. Everyone will have to face it, and yeah, it's something that you have to take uh, naturally, and there will be a time when you die. I'm so pleased, that when when I die, that I would don't leave a mess. I think this is why I wanted to give this house to the foundation also, just as the foundation was my house. So I think this is the legacy towards the foundation, and if he can, I mean, I cannot ask what direction it will take. Will you be Look, we have already worked very, very hard to give to the cause. Your cause célèbre is important for you. You remember it. That's why I said love is one, but the love of your art is something much, much more profound. Yeah. Quote Fried American, it doesn't matter how I'm remembered, I'm dead already. But that's true. But we want the kind of wisdom, the collective aspiration of the people that comes out through you. Uh, Still, one of the things why we set a foundation, so that legacy continues. So the living history is a kind of legacy, and I think arts and culture represents a very potent. It's not the great building, but what is the content of the building later on is going to be remembered. I mean, civilization remember arts and culture much, much more than your personal grandiose